Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Hamas returns 2 more hostage bodies to Israel, out of which 1 body identified. Egyptian FM calls for second phase of ceasefire talks. No Kings protests erupt across US as thousands rally against Trump administration's policies. Demonstrations also in Canada and Europe. England openers make solid start as India now stare at a must-win scenario, needing 2 victories to be in contention in semi-final race of Women's World Cup in Indore. And the holy city of Ayodhya gears up to celebrate the grand Deepotsav on the banks of Saryu River, marking the homecoming of Lord Ram. Israel confirmed on Sunday that Ronen Angel from Nir Oz, killed on October 7, 2023 and held in Gaza, was among the 2 bodies returned Saturday. Israel received the remains of 2 hostages from Gaza via the Red Cross. The bodies, transferred late Friday by Hamas, are undergoing forensic identification. This handover brings the total deceased hostages returned to 12 out of 28 agreed upon in the last week's US brokered deal. Hamas claims it has exhausted accessible sites but needs specialized equipment to recover the rest amid Gaza's rubble-strewn ruins. Israeli officials, however, say the group holds more remains and is delaying to evade disarmament. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned on Saturday that the conflict is not over until Hamas fully disarms and all hostages are returned. Families mourn amid hope and fury, with vigils lighting up Tel Aviv. Mediators urged patience, estimating weeks for full recovery, but public pressure mounts for phase 2, which involves permanent truce and governance overhaul. Meanwhile, Egyptian Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati called for the start of the second phase of ceasefire talks in Gaza and for sufficient humanitarian aid into Gaza. Speaking at a press conference in Cairo following talks with Maldives Foreign Minister Abdullah Khalil, Abdulati noted that the mediators have successfully resolved the conflict between Israel and Hamas, and it is now time to look ahead. He expressed hope that all parties would start negotiations for the second phase of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. He also stressed the importance of making urgent efforts to ensure that aid supplies can reach the Gaza Strip without obstruction. Hamas rejected a statement from the US State Department in which it cited credible reports indicating the Palestinian militant group would imminently violate the ceasefire deal with Israel. The department did not specify the nature of the alleged violations. Hamas said such allegations were false. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office announced that the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt will remain closed until further notice. The decision hinges on Hamas fully complying with ceasefire terms, particularly handing over the remains of all 28 deceased hostages. Only 12 have been returned so far, including 2 more late Saturday via the Red Cross. This comes after the Palestinian embassy in Cairo announced the crossing's planned reopening for Gazans returning from Egypt, but Israel refuted it swiftly, citing security and truce integrity. The US brokered ceasefire mandates increased aid flows and reconstruction. 8 trucks queue on Egypt's side, but entries rerouted through Israel-controlled Kerem Shalom, averaging 560 tons daily. Millions of people took to the streets across US on Saturday in No Kings marches opposing President Trump, with demonstrations unfolding in more than 2,500 cities across all 50 states and several European capitals. Protesters in Washington, D.C. gathered near the National Mall to protest against Trump policies. "This is what democracy looks like," chanted thousands near the U.S. Capitol, where the federal government was shut down for a 3rd week amid a legislative deadlock. The rally in New York City's iconic Times Square drew thousands of people as the rally began on Saturday. The streets and the subway entrances were densely packed with people holding up signs and slogans like "Democracy, not monarchy." In Chicago, demonstrators filled the streets as Donald Trump's administration asked the U.S. Supreme Court on Friday to allow his deployment of National Guard troops to Illinois as the Republican president moves to dispatch military personnel to a growing number of Democratic-led locals and expand the use of armed forces for domestic purposes. Protesters spanning all age groups took to the streets in Seattle for No Kings rallies, denouncing what they view as authoritarian tendencies and unbridled corruption of President Trump. Protesters also rallied in Atlanta, denouncing Trump with a No Kings message amid accusations of authoritarianism and threats to democracy. Crowds also packed the streets of Los Angeles as part of the No Kings rallies. Protesters said they fear the deployment of troops and policy rollbacks mark a deeper erosion of civil liberties. Prominent Democrats, including Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, joined protests in several cities, framing the day's marches as a defense of democracy and civil liberties.
In the year 2025, in this dangerous moment in American history, our message is exactly the same. No, President Trump, we don't want you or any other king to rule us. Thank you very much, but we will maintain our democratic form of society. We will not move toward authoritarianism in America. We, the people, will rule. We rejected the divine right of kings in the 1770s. We will not accept the divine right of oligarchs today.
As cities across the U.S. host No Kings rallies, anti-Trump demonstrators also gathered near the U.S. consulate in Toronto on Saturday for the No Tyrants protests. Some 300 protesters held signs and dressed up in costumes as they spoke out against what participants view as President Donald Trump's autocratic tendencies and anti-democratic actions. In Germany, protesters gathered in Berlin on Saturday to participate in a No Kings event opposing U.S. President Trump's policies. The demonstration, part of a broader global mobilization, featured attendees holding signs, wearing costumes and waving flags. Berlin participants emphasized the international significance of the protests. International Atomic Energy Agency Chief Rafael Grossi announced on X that repairs on damaged off-site power lines to Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant commenced on Saturday, following local ceasefire zones established by Russian and Ukrainian forces. The 4-week outage since September 23rd has relied on diesel generators, with no safety lapses reported as reactor coolant temperatures remain stable. The complex plant is expected to take a week. Both nations confirmed cooperation, emphasizing nuclear security. Ukraine's energy minister stressed reconnection to Ukraine's grid to avert incidents. Moscow claims control, while Russia builds alternative lines to its network. The plant's 6 reactors, once powering 1/5 of Ukraine's electricity, remains shut amid mutual accusations of sabotage. And Bolivia will choose between 2 right-wing figures in presidential elections on Sunday. Right-wing former President Jorge Tuto Quiroga and center-right ex-mayor Rodrigo Paz go head-to-head in Sunday's runoff, which brings the curtain down on 2 decades of socialist rule launched by coca farmer Evo Morales in 2005. The new president will take office on 8th of November. And Rodrigo Paz was the surprise victor in the first round of voting, despite registering less than 10% in early polling. He carried more than 32% of the votes in the August 17 general election, while his rival Quiroga came in second place with nearly 27% of the vote. Neither met the threshold to win the presidency outright, which would have required winning 50% of the vote or 40% with a 10-point margin over the nearest competitor. And Australia's Labour government defended its $1.62 billion agreement with Nauru to deport hundreds of non-citizens with criminal records over 30 years, as per Home Affairs Minister's announcement on Sunday. The deal, signed in September, grants deportees 30-year work visas in Nauru, a Pacific nation of 12,000. Human Rights Watch has condemned the plan, citing past deaths from medical neglect and suicide among asylum seekers sent there. Nauru locals voice mixed sentiments about integrating deportees. The policy revives criticism of Australia dumping refugees on small islands with no appeal process for denied visas, sparking human rights debates. US President Donald Trump announced Saturday that 2 suspected drug traffickers from US military strike on a fentanyl-laden drug-carrying submarine in the Caribbean are being repatriated to Ecuador and Colombia for prosecution after the attack killed 2 others. The Thursday drone strike targeted a semi-submersible vessel on a narco-trafficking route near Venezuela, which Trump claimed held enough drugs to kill 25,000 Americans. Colombian President Gustavo Petro confirmed receipt of National X on X social media platform, while Ecuador's government expressed unawareness of plans but welcomed cooperation. The Pentagon released black and white strike footage Saturday amid a US military buildup in the Caribbean. 6,500 troops, destroyers, F-35s and a nuclear sub, escalating tensions with Venezuela's Maduro, who decried sovereignty violations. At Camp Pendleton, US Vice President J.D. Vance joined thousands of Marines and their families to mark the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps. The Vice President laid a wreath at the Marine Corps Monument, paid tribute to fallen soldiers and praised the force's legacy of courage and discipline. The event featured a parade, flypast and a reenactment of historic battles, celebrating 2.5 centuries of service to the nation. A 17-mile stretch of Interstate 5 near Camp Pendleton shut on Saturday for the US Marine Corps' 250th anniversary as live artillery fired overhead during ceremonies attended by Vice President J.D. Vance. The closure, ordered after highway patrol warnings of driver distractions, caused massive traffic jams linking LA and San Diego. Governor blasted the move as ego over responsibility, calling it dangerous amid his feud with President Trump's White House. Marines insisted on safety, citing routine protocols. It coincided with nationwide protests against Trump's hardline agenda, including June's National Guard deployment for LA immigration raids, which Newsom slammed as overreach. And world-renowned Louvre Museum in Paris was closed on Sunday following a daring robbery that targeted its historic Napoleon collection. Media reports suggest that several pieces of jewelry from the prestigious Napoleon collection were stolen during the heist. No injuries were reported in the incident, and authorities have launched a full-scale investigation. Police and forensic teams were seen combing the scene throughout the day as part of ongoing efforts to identify the perpetrators and recover the stolen items. The museum announced it would remain closed for the entire day due to exceptional reasons. And Britain launched a national plan Sunday to train and recruit hundreds of thousands for clean energy jobs, targeting 860,000 by 2030. 5 new colleges will focus on solar, wind and nuclear careers, while schemes aid ex-offenders, school leavers and unemployed workers. Energy Secretary Ed Miliband emphasized meeting demand for plumbers, electricians and welders amid booming renewable and nuclear investments. The plan ensures fair pay and protections for workers in publicly funded projects. Aiming to decarbonize electricity by 2030, Britain plans to double clean energy investment to over £30 billion annually by 2035, boosting energy security. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. We tell you more about the 4th edition of India-Australia Joint Military Exercise Austra Hind 2025 in Perth. And scant of festivity blooms in the air in Chennai as people brace for Diwali.
Faster, smarter, better. That's often the promise that comes with modern technology, but all of it comes at a risk.
To deal with this kind of mismatch, we have created a master plan based on population projections up to 2055.
The main reason for looking for dry areas is both an efficiency reason and an avoidance of corrosion.
We decided that this cannot go on forever. Something needs to be done. And we also were very certain that only technology option will be the best option, because human intervention has several limitations.
The big advantage is you don't have to go back to the start of the chain like mining iron ore.
Eisenerz des Anfangs und
You can reuse materials that have already been processed.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. The global mobility of Bangladeshi passport holders has taken major hit. The 2025 Global Passport Ranking places Bangladesh near the bottom. According to Henley and Partners, Bangladesh now ranks 100th out of 106 countries, its lowest position yet. Tighter visa restrictions, increased deportations and allegations of visa misuse have led many nations to revoke visa on arrival privileges. Even traditional travel hotspots like Thailand, Malaysia and Maldives are turning Bangladeshi tourists away. Experts blame illegal migration and fraudulent travel practices for the passport's declining credibility on the global stage. The fourth edition of India-Australia Joint Military Exercise Austra-Hind 2025 began in Perth. An Indian Army contingent comprising 120 personnel participated in the annual exercise that will conclude on 26th of October. The Indian Army contingent is led by a battalion of Gorkha Rifles along with troops from other arms and services. Exercise is aimed at enhancing military cooperation and providing a platform for participating armies to exchange tactics, techniques and procedures in the domains of sub-conventional warfare in urban or semi-urban terrain. India's Chandrayaan-2 orbiter made history on Saturday with its Chandra's Atmospheric Composition Explorer-2 instrument, capturing the first ever observation of a coronal mass ejection impacting the moon's exosphere on May 10, 2024. ISRO reported a surge in dayside lunar exosphere pressure with neutral atom density rising over tenfold, confirming theoretical models. The moon's fragile, surface-bound exosphere, lacking a magnetic shield, is highly sensitive to solar wind and coronal mass ejections, which liberate surface atoms. This milestone offers insights into lunar space, where the challenges for future lunar bases as extreme solar events could temporarily alter the environment. The holy city of Ayodhya glows with divine fervor as Deepotsav 2025 preparations are at peak, aiming for a Guinness record with over 2.6 million diyas across 56 banks of River Saryu. Themed Ayodhya, city of light and devotion, the city dazzles with LED displays and lamp-shaped illuminations along the Rampath, Janmabhoomi Path and Hanuman Gadi Marg. Guided by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, 33,000 volunteers will craft a radiant spectacle with an 80,000 diya rangoli and virtual diya lighting via the Divya Ayodhya app. Last year's 25 lakh diyas lit the holy city, while this year's glow aims to further elevate faith, culture and tourism, drawing millions. A major attraction this year will be a 32 feet tall Pushpak Viman at Ram Ki Peri, showcasing scenes from the Ramayana and giving visitors a vivid experience of the epic. Earlier on Saturday, the Kartavya Path in the national capital Delhi was adorned with 151,000 earthen lamps and drones lit up the sky in Ramayan-themed laser show. That's on Saturday as part of Delhi's first ever Deepotsav event to mark the Festival of Lights. The event unfolded with cultural performances, Ram Katha storytelling sessions and the breathtaking drone show that illuminated the night sky, captivating thousands in attendance. In the heart of India's national capital, festive fervour is in full swing as Delhi gears up to celebrate Diwali. With just a day to go for the Festival of Lights, Delhi's Chandni Chowk is witnessing a massive rush of shoppers. The countdown to Diwali has turned the city's traditional market into a sea of people, families, bargain hunters and last-minute shoppers, all jostling for space amid glittering displays of diyas, candles, decorative lights and ethnic wear. Shopkeepers, many of whom wait all year for this season, say business has been brisk. From handcrafted lanterns and intricate idols of Goddess Lakshmi and Lord Ganesh to boxes of dry fruits and colorful rangoli powders, there's something for everyone. In Tamil Nadu, people flock in large numbers to buy crackers ahead of Diwali in capital city Chennai. The scent of festivity is in air, with people rejoicing the festival. In Tamil Nadu, the excitement for Diwali is palpable as streets come alive with bustling crowds eager to purchase its firecrackers. The markets are filled with a vibrant mix of colors and sounds, with shops displaying an array of firecrackers from sparklers to grand rockets. Due to rainfall, the work of crafting and decorating the effigies of Narakasur continued across the state. The celebration of Narakasur's defeat is organized only in the state of Goa. The effigies are now ready and will be opened to the public for viewing. To avoid traffic congestion, traffic police will be deployed at multiple points throughout the night. Diwali will be celebrated on Monday with the burning of Narakasur effigies. Markets are bustling with people shopping for Diwali. Water sprinklers deployed at the India Gate to maintain pollution levels in Delhi. Water sprinkling is a common measure used to suppress dust and particulate matter suspended in the air. Teams were seen operating water tankers around the India Gate area in an attempt to improve air quality. Authorities to roll out more pollution control steps if conditions worsen. And in some good news from the central Indian state of Chhattisgarh, in a hopeful sign of peace, 10 tribal youths, including 2 women from the previously affected Mola Manpur Ambagarh Chowki district, have passed the Staff Selection Commission and Chhattisgarh Police Constable exams. And this is the first time youths from this area have achieved such success in both physical and written tests. This breakthrough signals a victory not just for the candidates but for the entire region, demonstrating a dramatic shift from a mindset of militancy to one of mainstream opportunity. The successful candidates were honoured at the tactical headquarters of the 27th Battalion of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. The candidates' academic achievements are directly linked to the ITBP's relentless and precise anti-Naxal operations. And time now for sport. Skipper Mitchell Mars gave Australia a flying start against India in the rain-affected first one-day match in Perth. The hosts reached 103 runs for the loss of 3 wickets while chasing 131 runs for the victory. Earlier, a quick-fire 38 runs off 31 deliveries from KL Rahul helped India put up 136 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in 26 overs. Australia need 131 runs to win after the total was adjusted on the Duckworth-Lewis system. In a frustrating start to the 3-game series, persistent rain forced the players out the field on multiple occasions. And England made solid start against India in the Women's World Cup match in Indore. The visitors were 89 runs for the loss of 1 wicket after they elected to bat. England made 2 changes in their playing 11, while there was a major change in India's lineup as batter Jamima Rodriguez made way for pacer Renuka Singh Thakur. India played 4 matches so far, winning and losing 2 games. The women in blue now stare at a must-win scenario, needing 2 victories from their remaining 3 matches to stay alive in the semi-final race. Meanwhile, England has played 4 games so far and are unbeaten. And Lionel Messi scored his second career MLS hat-trick, propelling Inter Miami to a 5-2 win over Nashville. With this, Messi added yet another feather to his cap as he clinched the Major League Soccer Golden Boot. Messi leads the MLS in scoring with 29 goals this season. The last time he scored a hat-trick was last October 19 in Inter Miami's 6-2 win over the New England Revolution. He opened the scoring in the 35th minute, netting his 27th goal of the season off a shot outside the center of the box for 1-0 Inter Miami lead. Nashville SC responded with a header from Sam Surridge in the 43rd minute to tie the game 1-1. Messi scored his 3rd of the night on a left-footed shot from the center of the box in the 81st minute to extend the lead to 4-2. Telasco Segovia added a 5th Inter Miami goal a minute ago into stoppage to cement the win. That's all the time we have in this edition of DD India Live, and we now leave you with images of parade that brought life on the streets of Mexico City with giant colorful creatures made from papaya mash. Take a look and enjoy. Namaskar.